very special episode for you today. We have entrepreneur, disruptor, innovator, inventor, and all around good guy, Mr. Clayton K Redmon, joining us today. Clayton, welcome to the show.
Hey, Victor, thanks for having me, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm glad we were able to finally get together. We've been communicating through DM for a few months, and here we are. We finally made it happen.
Hey, no time like the present. Perfect timing.
Absolutely. Well, Clayton, before we get started, you've been recognized by the Dallas Business Journal, B&E's Top 50. You've got intellectual property with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, DCEO. You're a well-known guy in the tech space, and you've got this little invention or this little technology that you created close to a decade ago that was probably pivotal in your career. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you kicked it off?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be with you. I usually tie everything back to my upbringing in Dallas, Texas, mainly Oak Cliff, Texas, because of how much of a STEM motivated community I grew up in. With my father's uncles, everyone around me in my church. I had the opportunity to intern at companies my father had pivotal roles at, and really had a front row seat to a lot of the different innovations and way technology was moving forward. Graduating from high school in 1999, that was a very monumental year in time for technology. And so my time working in the telephony space, I was able to understand it from various levels and pretty much see where technology needed to go in order to create the full circle, or to create that full suite of online suites that we're accustomed to now.
So let me ask you real quick, but how did you realize telephony was going to be such a big industry? Because it was a little boring, and it was a very useful tool, but it was never like this sexy industry. What made you, look at this differently than everyone else?
My father's company, not his company, but he worked with a group of individuals here in Dallas, Texas called Celsius, and they went on to sell the voice over IP technology to Cisco, which is now the call manager 7960 phone systems, right? That came from Dallas, Texas. So from that, I saw pretty much in a 2-year span, long distance get eliminated as a market. And so as a young child, as a guy 17 years old, going from calling cards and long distance this and that to one company being able to pretty much make that obsolete, it just showed me how quickly technology moves and how impactful it can be to industry. So I wanted to be a part of that and be ahead of that.
That's fantastic. So you witnessed disruption before we really called it disruption.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, one of my really close, I won't even say that, my best friend in the world is from Oak Cliff. And yeah, so I spent some time in Dallas and in Oak Cliff, and beautiful area, beautiful part of the state.
It's a beautiful place.
So disruption. How do you look at disruption now? Disruption was huge, back in the tech boom years ago. Everyone was disrupting every industry. Now with the advancements of technology, it seems to be a little bit more difficult to find disruptive opportunities without spending billions of dollars. So what's on your flight deck for the future for disrupting and being innovative? What's on your horizon?
One of the main things that gets us excited right now is the ability, the peer-to-peer fintech space. We see there's going to be great opportunities and tremendous growth in that space as consumers, not even just consumers, but more Americans turn to the gig economies, to turn to the creator economies to not only subsidize their existing income, but as more and more positions and trades become, automated and AI'd, then they'll be looking for ways to monetize their time in various ways. And that's what really excited us about Monetimes and starting that project over 3 years ago. was the ability to really encapsulate time and give people a way to monetize it, right? Because Monetize really provides the easiest way to pay for time. And our application enables professionals and clients to really dynamically track their time, invoice, and process payments automatically all in real time. And not only just our app, but our API, we believe, will be the building blocks to various new time-based applications for professionals or decentralized apps for the crypto blockchain or even in the enterprise space.
So let me ask you a question. I'm a plumber, I'm a dog walker, I'm a programmer. Who could use this platform, Monetize?
Monetize.
Yep,
Monetize
Monetize.
is the combination of the words monetize and time, because
Hmm.
that's exactly what our app does for you. So the range is very broad. When people ask me that, I really refer kind of to say, how did Uber look at that from, well, who's going to take rides? Really, anyone who needs a ride. Everyone has that asset that's alive of time, and most people have that added asset of knowledge and expertise, right? Whether you're a plumber, a babysitter, a dog walker, an attorney, a tutor, or even on the enterprise level from recording studios or and parking garages and parking meters, but a new way of approaching how not only time is calculated and processed, but also how it interacts in a peer-to-peer way, which makes it very easy for anyone to be able to monetize their time the same way that Airbnb made it easy for anyone to monetize their asset of a home. We believe that professionals and creators need a powerful, independent way to monetize their asset of their time and their knowledge and
So
expertise.
using Monetimes, I could bill someone by the second, by the minute, by the hour, however I want to charge my for my services or my product.
That is correct. Um, you're able to choose between a flat rate or a per hour rate, and that per hour rate is calculated by the second. So if that interaction is 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 35 seconds, it's going to calculate that and send that payment directly to you in real time.
I love it because there are so many people post pandemic that are going to work from home, not in a studio, not in an office or retail space. And we changed overnight. So, an application like this, I could see it integrating with pretty much, anything. What kind of partners do you see utilizing Monetimes in the future?
Through the partnership with our API, which we've made it not only payment agnostic, that means a developer or a team that's coming up with a new tutoring app or a new babysitting app could easily implement Monetimes into their application and now have that dynamically track time payment function. We want to give it out in a wide array because, like, say, Apple, when they created their store, it's hard to think about everything yourself. And if you provide the building blocks, then you can actually have a whole community of developers and young and old people working to deploy new innovative applications in ways that they see would be very beneficial to themselves and to their group. And our goal from that is to build that community where individuals can easily deploy apps or utilize our app that is ready for them to use out the box.
I love it. So, what brought you to this idea, this concept? How did you see this prior to COVID affecting the way that we engaged on a B2B or peer to peer basis?
Mainly from personal need. As an entrepreneur, before COVID, you remember there was a lot of networking, a lot of networking events, and it become customary for people to ask for consultation free of charge. Hey, let me pick your brain. Hey, can we go out to lunch? And those types of things. And giving away your time and information it's a very good thing to do, but sometimes there is a professional level to that, especially when that is what you do for a living, right? And
Hmm.
so it I wanted an easy way for like Cash App or Venmo for me to be able to charge for those sessions when we go to lunch or at a conference, very quick and easy, right? And just through that development, uh, various people on my team started to see it and it started to grow. And then my intellectual property attorney realized, and after doing a lot of research, just saw that a new vertical in digital payments was a great space to be in, as well as fintech is a great growing space to be in. So we like to be on the bleeding edge, and we believe that Monetimze is on the bleeding edge of fintech and digital payments.
I would agree with that. What I love about it can be used in high tech and low tech. And we're entering into a little bit of a labor crisis. And so individuals with skills that they're willing to deploy at any given moment, it'll make them easier to not have to possibly process through human resources, go through 9 or 10 different steps. They can actually show up, provide a service, receive compensation, move on, and life is good.
Life is good. Life is good. And that's what we wanted. We wanted that peer to peer transaction where an individual did not feel like they had to go to an aggregator in order to get the peace of mind of payment.
Correct.
Right, and that really has caused some problems in the gig working community and the creator community, similar to how the music industry was, years ago when the labels took the lion's share of the proceeds because they were the platform. Right now, freelancers and creators are really dominated by platforms that take the lion's share of their earnings. And we wanted something that you could have on your phone in your pocket and could deploy it at any time to take advantage of any opportunity to share your expertise and knowledge. Whether you were a YouTuber and at the end of your YouTube video, you said, hey, if you need some hand holding and want some one on one attention, Monetize me. Or if you are a babysitter, or like you said before, a tutor, or even a recording studio who we've seen started to use our application more and more just to manage their time of their engineers and the artists that are in studio sessions in a very centralized way. So it's very exciting to see what people have been using Monetimes for.
It's really going to make a big change in entertainment. One of the problems I've seen is the ability to afford someone to be creative for you. And an example is maybe I need a studio singer for a jingle, or maybe I need someone to be the face of a project that I'd like to launch, but we don't have a guaranteed budget or a certain length of time. And we can just pay as we go, and it can make the individual affordable in a sense that they're getting their rate without going into a long term commitment that may not be a possibility for the individual who needs the service. There's just a lot of ways that someone can monetize their services in a way without discounting it, getting the lion's share of the income, and making it easier for the individual who needs the service to make the decision. I love everything that it represents.
Well, that is exactly what we want to accomplish. And as we look forward, we see wonderful applications such as Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces, places where creators are flocking to because of the large networks. But these platforms are struggling to find ways to monetize their creators in a very positive way, or really in an impactful way. And we believe that Monetimes could also be a new way of payment functionality for those platforms rather than relying on tipping or relying on paying a flat rate or a ticketing fee to enter, not knowing if I'm going to actually receive the valuable information that has been advertised on the flyer. But if I'm able to enter into that room, listen to the conversation for about 30, 45 seconds, make that determination if there's value here. If I stayed, my timer starts as I'm listening and gaining more information. Like a toll road, I'm paying so I can get to my destination a little faster. And then when I leave that engagement or I leave that room, it automatically charges me. And I'm able to then browse and see if there's more content I want to consume. Right. So we see that dynamic tracking is on various levels could impact digital payments.
Absolutely. This is a home run. I don't want to sound greedy, but how can I get a piece of this deal? Hey, are you guys going to go public eventually? Are you going to offer a crowdfunding round? I mean, what's the deal? How are you guys going to raise capital? I want in.
Well, we can talk offline about that, as well as we've been partner funded as of now over the last 3 years. We're so excited about the technology. We've built an incredible team. If you want to, anyone listening want to check out our team, it's at monetimze.com/teams. So we have a wonderful group of individuals who we're working every day, and we are looking at ways to grow our team in a very effective way. And we'd love to talk to you about that offline.
Absolutely. Can you spell Monetimes for everyone so they know how to spell it correctly?
That is Monetimze, Monetimes.
All right, fantastic. So I've got one last question for you. What's the process been like for you putting together your team, developing your secret sauce, your software, your algorithm? How long have you been working on this, and what advice would you give to someone out there who's looking to start their own app, their own program, their startup? Would you tell them to go through an incubator, find a mentor? What's your advice?
My advice is be very honest with yourself about your tolerance for pain and your your expertise in the space. And not even just expertise, but the ability to have people around you that are smarter than yourself that can help this go forward. If you do not have that resource around you, then an incubator or a accelerator are all great tools. And also, not even that, if you're not able to get into those type of communities, then go rent a space at a co-working space that's very creative, because you need to be around other people and not just in your home office in order to evangelize and spread that. But if you do have the experience of doing that, then I'm a firm believer of, you know, having great people around you that are smarter than yourself and you trust, and everybody being very passionate about the technology and the project that you're building. And if you continue to work, continue to make connections, continue to do those things to spread, because it's not you. It's, a lot of times it's that I've seen people fail, and even myself at times, is operating in a bubble, right? Think you're doing some really great things, but if no one knows about it, then none of the opportunities can come your way, right? So evangelizing about your technology and having discernment to making sure that the people that you bring around are the right people, and if it's the right technology or right project, it will pick up steam and momentum and teach you a lot. Even if it's not extremely successful or reaches the level of success you had in mind, it has done something to evolve you as an entrepreneur, and you should be very thankful for it, and take that information and continue to grow.
That's great advice. I always talk about being immersive in everything you do. And you don't have to be the smartest person, but if you immerse yourself and you can stay in the room and have the conversation and allow people who are smarter, faster, better to do what they do, they can accelerate your growth for sure. So when did you know you had the right product? Because I know this, is probably pretty broad and you could do a million things and you probably had to compress it quite a bit. When did you know you had it?
I did a transaction with my brother, who is in the payment space. And after the transaction, the next day, he called me and said, "Clayton, I want you to really look at what you're just using for yourself. He says, I need it. A lot of people need this. And then that's when I spoke with my IP attorney. She said, exactly, we all need this. Even as attorneys, we need this for various reasons. And that was about 3.5 years ago. And so we set out on a mission to allow everyone to be able to take advantage of peer-to-peer time payments. And my IP attorney does that to me a lot. She's, her name is Wei Wei. She's been my attorney, I say, for 10 plus years. And a lot of the times when I'm creating things for myself, she usually says, hey, look, other people need this. So let's do something with this, right? So it's great to have great people around you. And she is one of those, a part of our team who's just always been there and taking us to the next level.
I always tell people the first money you should spend once you have your concept framework in place is with your attorney. And a lot of people are so afraid to spend that money on the attorney. They think it needs to go into the source code or the brick and mortar or whatever it may be, that they can't get comfortable talking about it because they don't have their IP locked down and secure, which delays their ability to communicate and be in that peer environment that you talked about earlier, being in that accelerator, being in that incubator. So I'm glad you brought that up, because most people wait and think that's the end expense or function is handling their legal, and it should start in the beginning.
Yes, it should be the second thing you do after you think about the idea or the concept, most definitely.
So tell us about your team. Anybody in particular that you want to bring up while you're on the show, or what's your team look like?
Well, everyone on the team really are rock stars. Like I spoke about earlier, on our management team, Wei Wei Zhang, she is our IP head of our IP department, pivotal part of our team from day one. Then we have Thomas Spann, who is our CFO. He has extensive background in the digital payment space. Morehouse man. One thing I would like to say is that we probably have one of the most diverse and inclusive ownership boards that I've seen out there. Go take a look at it. I know diversity and inclusion is a big thing now, but it is in our DNA as a company, because we really believe that those diverse outlooks and perspectives really help shape technology in the way that it helps reach the masses. And we have Otis Jennings, who is a beautiful mind. If you've ever, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was a genius on there. I always refer to him. He who went off and studied and really has shaped the world of or the discipline of data science. Has been his expertise for, I would say, 20 plus years before it was even a space. He was pioneering that space in academia. And then we just brought on a gentleman by the name of Anthony Gallegos, who is going to head up our business development. He's our new business development director. Also an African-American gentleman with extremely great track record in the biz development space for technology and platforms. And then a young lady by the name of Candace Taylor, who is our creative director. We're growing every day.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we're growing every day.
So one last question. I know I said that last time I asked the last question, but this is really the last question.
Okay.
So blockchain is obviously the truth in data and the backbone behind cryptocurrency. Do you think in the next 5 to 10 years we'll see blockchain monetize and become useful in other spaces that we don't currently see it in right now? Because I think the problem with blockchain is it's very valuable, but there's an expectation that data should be secure and true already. So how do you think it deploys down the road in a bigger way?
So when you say that the assumption is data and true and secure already, you mean in a centralized way? And so why are we going to a decentralized?
Correct. That's I think a consumer opinion, per se.
Well, no one should assume that your data in any centralized place is 100% secure and safe, because that just is not a fact. No matter what type of security measures you have in place, it's
It can
just
be
not.
compromised.
Absolutely. Because it's a machine. What excites me about the blockchain is the ability for it to decentralize and solve a lot of issues, not just with crypto, but in the DeFi space. And on the Monetize side, we're looking at ways that we can improve. When you look at the proof of work or proof of stake, that impact, on the proof of work that it has on the environment, and then the proof of stake and the impact that it has on how much capital you have to stake. There may be a time component. We don't know. There may be a way to get rewarded based on the amount of time you are mining or computing. So but I do see anything that is centralized now. I believe there will be a decentralized component to it that is running on, whether it's the Bitcoin, Ethereum, or some new blockchain. But it's hard to deny the security of the blockchain. Yeah, because it's, even as a programmer, it's just, you think about it over and over, and it's not much you can do with it. You can't penetrate it. So it's a solid long-term solution to anything that you need secure.
It's a beautiful thing,
It is.
and I think, the toughest thing is, when a consumer assumes something should happen a certain way already, it takes them time to see the value to pay for it. So I think you're right. I think you're right. As we find additional ways to decentralize data and implement more blockchain, I think we'll see more use.
Absolutely. And people are coming up with incredible projects, every day. It's just amazing. So that is definitely the future of our currency, or of our financial system. I was watching a morning squawk the other day, and really 90% of the conversation was crypto. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
2 years ago, when I brought up crypto to money managers or Wall Street guys, it was, that's garbage. Don't invest your money. It's worse than gambling. And now more and more individuals are adding space in their portfolios for cryptocurrency.
Yep. Absolutely. Because you really need to. And cryptocurrency is fine, but you're kind of in the middle of that wave. If you want to get ahead of it, like if you want to go on a time machine and go back to those that turned it down but wanted to go back, you could do that by getting into DeFi, the decentralized finance, because that really is going to be the future of our, I believe, of
Yes.
our financial institutions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Clayton, this has been fantastic. I got to have you back on the show later, and then definitely offline, we need to chat about how Victor Young can become a shareholder in Monetimes.
Hey, sounds like a plan, Victor.
Thanks a lot, folks. Thanks for joining us. This is the Daily Life Coach. And as usual, share this with your friends, your family, and most importantly, live fearlessly.